Many investors think that to make 100 times their money, it has to be the next flashy AI technology or some viral consumer app. Well, I think some of the most explosive wealth created on Bursa Malaysia come from the most boring things you would expect. Plain metal processing, as well as plastics packaging and property development. So while everyone chases the headlines, two local companies, one turn raw alumina into metal, processed metal, and the other petrochemical resins into wrappers, for the lack of a better word, has quietly generated between 10 times to 100 times shareholder returns. In this video, we're going to be covering chapter 9 of my book Malaysian Multibaggers, and we're going to uncover the unique economics of the material sector. A sector that is often overlooked, underappreciated most of the time because it's just so boring, right? And I'll show you how a Sarawak-based aluminium smelter plant, as well as a dual-engine packaging giant and a property developer, actually just literally returned so much to shareholders over the past 20 years. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is John, former engineer turned full-time investor, currently wealth planning director at Phillip Capital, as well as the author of the book Malaysian Multibaggers. And today we'll be covering chapter 9, the materials industry and sector. So let me first give you context about the material sector in industry, because regardless of whether you're a developed country, emerging, or even frontier, based on the JICS classification, material forms the backbone of any economy because you need it in construction, you need infrastructure works, and as long as the country is building something, a lot of these materials are still very high in demand, just depending on whether the country is undergoing massive development of infrastructure, or even if it tapers down, there's still a constant need for materials. So it is the ultimate upstream business. It touches just every other industry: construction, e-commerce, manufacturing, and in Malaysia the sector is dominated by two very different beasts, for the lack of a better word. The first one is metals and mining, and aluminium smelter is one of the companies or subsectors that we're going to cover today, and the other is actually containers and packaging, which is plastics, for the lack of a better word. Now, while it's very much sensitive, plastics industry I'm referring to is very much very sensitive due to volatility in petrochemical prices, especially now with the war ongoing. It is still a highly defensive industry when you consider it over the longer term, because the demand for consumer packaging, especially F&B, especially during COVID, just highlights how it will not abate going forward. When people are a little bit more has better spending power, they would want more hygiene, and this is where packaging will play a very, very big part in that. So now let's look into the aluminium smelting unit economics. Smelting isn't just really about metal. It's fundamentally an energy conversion process, because to convert alumina into primary aluminium, it requires massive amounts of electricity. I think power is the single largest variable that is for this industry. It eats up anywhere between 25 to 40% of your total production expenses. And to survive any smelter, they actually need two things. One, you need scale. You can't do this in a very small scale. You need massive scale, because if not, it wouldn't make sense price-wise, economics-wise. The other is actually cheap and reliable power. Cheap is relative. Now in China, there are a lot of efficient cost producers as well. But if you look at the power distribution from the generation in China, a lot of it is still massively dependent on coal. While they have big hydropower plants, they have massive solar farms, wind farms as well. I think the advantage where Press Metal is, the company we're talking about, is that it had abundant hydro electricity in the state of Sarawak, where Bakun, which is like generating 2.4 gigawatts of electricity, actually supplied most of Press Metal's requirement. So the origin stories of Press Metal really began in 1986, where Paul Kuhn and his brothers, they actually started with aluminium extrusion manufacturing business in Puchong. They just had 12 workers and a starting capital of 50,000 US dollars. Now, even in inflation adjusted terms, it's still not a small amount, but imagine where they are today. Yeah, it's 50,000 maybe in Malaysian ringgit terms, roughly about 200,000 in 1986, which is still quite a lot of money, by the way. But they managed to pull it off, managed to raise capital, and the master stroke really happened in 2007 because that's when they pivoted into smelting and built a smelting plant in Muka. Now, one of the main reasons why they moved to Muka was because they secured a 25-year power purchase agreement with Sarawak Energy for cheap hydroelectric energy. As I mentioned earlier, the Bakun hydroelectric dam. And this actually locked in a very low structural cost advantage to them over the next 25 years. And the other global competitors, even the guys in China that had state subsidies and all that, could not compete, especially in the terms of the theme of ESG as well, because you're securing power from a hydroelectric plant versus a coal-fired power plant. Your score in ESG terms is definitely going to be higher, okay? And what actually drove the returns even further was they started vertically integrating. They started buying up alumina refineries, and they moved into what they call value-added products. And because of that vertical integration, they became Southeast Asia's largest integrated aluminium producer. And if you look at the returns they've driven from 2005 to 2025, which is the timeline of the study of this book, they actually gave the returner, the champions, a staggering 130 times shareholder returns. So shifting from aluminium smelting, integrated aluminium manufacturing, we now move towards the plastics industry. Now, packaging companies, especially converting business or final thin film manufacturers, they don't actually drill for oil. They actually buy petrochemical resins or polypropylene, or PP for short. And they take this, they convert them into industrial films, stretch films, for flexible consumer packaging. So, your wrappers, your cling wraps and all that you use, even plastic bags that you use so frequently that we use it, we tend to forget, right, where they actually come from. This is the industry that Scientex actually focuses on. So profitability here is entirely dependent on optimizing the spread, because you buy polypropylene, right, from the petrochemical plants, guys like Lotte, Titan, guys like Petronas Chemicals, not so much. I mean, Petronas Chemicals does a little bit more stuff, right? But basically, you buy from petrochemical plants and you try to value add by creating all this stretch film, industrial film products, and you have to take care of the spread, because resin prices are very, very volatile. And you can't really increase or push a commoditized product price over, like stretch film, right? You can't be double the charges if your resin prices are going up. You can't do that. Right? No one's going to buy from you, right? They're going to go on to the next guy. Yeah. So the only way to win in this game is really scale, the volume, right? And because of that, then you have bulk purchasing power to buy from your resin producers. And then you make your equipment as technological advanced as possible. You buy them, you build a factory. And when you can engineer high grade, high tensile strength, stretch film that is thinner, because when it's thinner, then you use less material, but it's still is durable, it's still very efficient. That's where you use less resin and you can still win over your consumers. That's the advantage of this industry, if you know how to do it, okay? So we focus now to the specific case study company, which is Scientex, founded in 1968. They transitioned from a trading of PVC, pipes and whatever not, into a global packaging juggernaut. They are probably the top 3 global producers of stretch film. So the technical term is stretch film, but you see those wrapping of let's say your mineral waters, right, in a carton, right? That is considered stretch film. What you use to package it, your Coca-Cola, your 100 plus, and that's stretch film, okay? And they actually grew not just organically, meaning they just grew by capacity, but they also grew inorganically through mergers and acquisitions. And The companies that they bought included one of the major packaging suppliers to Nestle, which is Daibochi. They bought, and because of that, it vaulted them into higher margin consumer packaging. Domestically, so you see, right, knowing how I describe the plastic industry, very thin margins. You have to constantly do capex to buy newer machines to produce thinner stretch films to lower your cost to be more efficient, right? But how are you going to, in down times when resin prices are high, your margins get squeezed, how are you going to get the cash flow to finance your next capex? And this is where the genius of Scientex really came in, which they have a property development arm. Whatever they make during good years, they use that, they buy land bank, and they build properties, and they were very laser focused and not to do the high end, but affordable homes where land bank was not too expensive. So they targeted building, affordable homes, and they have publicly announced a target of building 50,000 affordable homes by 2028, which is another 2 years from now. So this dual engine helps with the counter cyclicality of high resin prices like what we will see today because of the war, and the affordable housing provides this steady stream of cash flow generation to allow them when they need to upgrade the machines on the plastic packaging side, they will do so because of the cash flow generated from property development. And over the past 20 years, by doing this, by creating this dual engine, they have managed to return 24 times to the shareholders, which is quite amazing, for an industry that is very famous for thin margins, and property development is not easy, it's a cash flow game, and yet they managed to deliver. So generational wealth, especially if you're investing in the materials sector, isn't about having a flashy product. It's really about securing structural cost advantage, either through scale, either through long-term power purchase agreements, and also having dual engines where there's a steady stream of cash flow generation to fund your capex, in the future. Someone like Scientex, right? And if you understand the unit economics of how the material sector work, you know that these are commoditized products, margins are being squeezed. So how do you finance? How do you become financially prudent to finance expansion of scale, like Press Metal? It isn't great margins. It's not going to be software-like margins where it's net margins of 20-30%. You're not going to expect that, right? But how do you raise financing? How do you build scale? And how do you juggle between capex allocation between one part of the business to the other? I think that is really the essence of the materials industry. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you gained something from understanding the unit economics of this industry. Definitely, there's much more to learn from the book. I just synthesized it here. And if you want to grab a copy, the link is in the description below. If you're open to someone helping you look at your portfolio, there's a link in the video description as well. I'll see you guys in the next video.